why Ulduar won't be easy. Well, it wasn't easy back then, so it's not going to be easy now. Let's take a look.
Talk about Ulduar #1. Now,
Wait, who's this by? Now that I think about it. Oh, Willie. Okay. He had a good was a good video last one.
you guys
so
might not know
looking
this.
forward to this.
Ulduar comes out in 2 days.
Yeah.
Man, it's a lot harder than Nax. Can't wait.
It's not even just a little bit harder.
This
it's
video
like
is
way
sponsored by
harder.
Raid Shadow Legends.
Thank God.
With Phase 2 of Wrath Classic and Ulduar now.
I still think that I should do that unironic Raid Shadow Legends stream that's not sponsored and actually try out the game to see if it's as good as people say it is.
That would be interesting. Yeah. I mean, I would definitely watch it if Asmin did it.
I should actually do it.
Now confirmed to be dropping
It'd
on
be so
January
funny.
19th. We don't have long to wait until we go back and see
It's
one
the
of World of
18th for
Warcraft's most
America.
legendary raids
get
ever
it
for
early,
a
just same
second
as like the
time,
moon, you know?
or perhaps a first time for many. And whether you're totally new to the content or you did it back in the day, things will
Yeah.
be different this time around.
They
With
will be.
final patch class balance,
I'm assuming it would be easier.
pre-nerf content and buffed item levels throughout the raid, Ulduar in Classic stands to be an experience that should offer something new for everyone, which makes me personally look forwards to it even more. So today I wanted to go over a few things you may not have thought about yet for Ulduar, because whilst there's a lot to look forwards to, I think it's going to be quite the
I actually expect that Ulduar is going to be a dark time. I do, because like, if there's one thing I've learned is that it's a lot easier to raid something like Nax. Like Nax at level 80, it's gonna be fine. But like, y'all remember whenever we did tier 5 and McConnell and me, we sat there wiping on Alar for 4 hours and we pulled it like 8 times? That was brutal,
Jeez.
man. I'm worried about Ulduar.
reality check in terms of a step up in difficulty.
I'm
I know
afraid.
it's been a massive meme since Classic has existed, hasn't it? Okay guys, Blackwing Lair was easy, just wait for AQ40. Okay, never mind, that was easy too.
Nah. The thing is, though, like, Nax was, like, I would say Nax was, like, decidedly more difficult than AQ40. Like, MC, BWL, AQ40, all of these raids were pretty easy. But, like, Nax was a lot harder.
From what I understood, like, it was mainly damage checks. Like, as long as you had, like, like, you were gearing up, you would eventually almost guarantee to beat it.
And it's the same thing that happened, like, in Tier 4 content, like Magtheridon, Gruul. This shit was a joke. And then Tier 5 comes out, and guess what? There are plenty of guilds. Tier 6 came out, they still didn't kill they didn't kill Lady Vash. They couldn't kill Kale. And then they thought that
Kilthos, like, that broke a ton of people. I think more than Vash, Vashara. But, yeah, I remember, even the guild I was in, like, I didn't even really raid with them. And because I raided with, like, friends, not with my guild, which sounds a little weird, but that was WoW back then, I guess. At least for me. And my friends and I were able to clear, Black Temple before my guild cleared freaking Kel'Thuzad, Tempest Keep.
that was bad. Tier 6 was easy. Tier fucking 7, Tier 6.5, Sunwell was way fucking harder than Black Temple. Like, Sunwell was...
Sunwell, actually, even with my friends, like, I forget where, like, I think we may have cleared it once. I'm trying to remember. I actually don't remember. It was a dark time. I'll just say that there's a lot of wipes, and I know we did progress a good amount, but I can't remember if we beat it. I don't think we did, I'll be honest. So I'm trying to remember, like, the fight itself, and nothing's really coming up. So that tells me I probably didn't even get to the final, to what's his name? The final boss in Sunwell. The red dude.
Way harder. I'm not even going to hear anything else besides that. Like, that shit was brutal.
Yeah.
Like, Ulduar is going to...
Oh, I think I remember who it was that stopped us. It was the Manaroth looking dude. Like the demon. What's his name? Something with a K? I don't remember.
Be a lot harder. Absolutely it will be. You're wrong about Ulduar being harder than Nax 40 for guilds. Maybe Algon will be... No, I'm not... When the fuck did I say Ulduar was going to be Is it about being harder for next 40? All guilds will clear Yogg on easy mode? Well, who cares about easy mode, man? Who gives a fuck about that? And also, I don't even know if that's true. Like, Ulduar is a lot harder than Nax.
But Nax, barely anyone cleared Nax 40 back in the day. Oh wait, it turns out that playing on 7 FPS and dial-up internet without any guides kinda makes things harder than they should have been. This was also the case in TBC, which saw some of its own progression points, such as pre-nerf Lady Vash and Kael'thas in tier 5, as well as plenty of bosses in the Sunwell, especially Muru. And let me tell you, if you progressed on those, you will be progressing in Ulduar, and for a lot longer. And whilst it's no mythic difficulty from retail, many of the hard modes will be very challenging in early levels of gear. So let's set...
Also, another cock in the ass with Ulduar is that whenever you kill a boss in Ulduar on hard mode, you get like 2 or 3 pieces of gear, and all you get is 1 extra hard mode piece. So you only get like really 1 piece of hard mode gear from each boss across the whole raid.
Some expectations for this new raid. What should you be doing, what to think about, and how best to prepare. But first, hashtag ad. Did you know Raid Shadow Legends is a hero collection RPG on PC?
You have to admit, their cinematics aren't bad for a mobile game.
And mobile, played by over 80 million players across the world. Waiting for the train? Commuting? Turn your downtime into uptime with amazing...
They should have had these guys, the people that make Raid Shadow Legends, they should have had them make the new League of Legends cinematic.
graphics and over 650 unique customizable champions. Take on bosses, battle real players, develop strategies all your way. What I like about Raid Shadow Legends is the amount of team combinations you can put together to take on any encounter the game offers. Strategizing a team and seeing it work in practice is always a satisfying experience for me. With the new year comes a new champion inspired by pro wrestling star Ronda Rousey, who you can unlock for free by playing over 7 days between now and February 20th. Ronda has multi-hit skills, great for encounters where AoE matters. Her second skill locks both active and passive skills, making her perfect for shutting down enemies in PvP content. And her third skill is a powerful AoE attack combined with immunity to all turn meter reductions. Use special promo code RAIDRONDA in-game to also get a bunch of helpful stuff like a 3-day 100% XP boost, 500k silver, and 5 full energy refills. You can also use the link in my description to download the game.
I think that they should probably, like, you know, whenever they want people to do these ad reads, they should probably ask them, like, not to talk as many specifics with the game. I feel like that kind of gets people to zone out. Like, just have people talk about, like, the cinematic and, like, how cool the game looks and shit. Like, in terms of, like a sell.
And receive even more bonuses. Many thanks to Raid Shadow Legends for the sponsor today. Let's get back to WoW. I want to start off with some things you can think about before the patch has dropped.
Like
Top of that list has to be consumables and getting the most out of them. Whilst Wrath of the Lich King doesn't need you to bring a dozen different potions and elixirs like Classic did, there's going to be a lot more wiping and a lot more going through consumables at a rapid rate. Bring more than you need, because chances are there's somebody else in your raid that's brought less than they need. You know what your class will need by this point in time, or you can go and check it out on a guide, but not having a mana potion...
Y'all gotta keep that in mind. Like, the Algalon has 40 million health.
Jesus.
40 fucking million. In context, Kel'Thuzad has like 25, or not 25, like 18, and Lotheb has 26. It's fucking brutal.
On a healer or running out of DPS potions will start to add up if enough people go dry. Speaking of dry runs should make a return. If you didn't PTR, which barely anyone did, let's be honest, you're going to be going into this content for the first time in a very long time. And quite a few fights need a few attempts just to see the mechanics through in real time. Guides are good and all, but that first-hand experience is vital. Dry runs are...
I actually have thought about, instead of doing Ulduar, I would just watch other guilds do Ulduar and call them stupid whenever they do something wrong. Because I didn't want to go through the pain of doing it on my own. Like Ulduar isn't a snooze fest?
Asmon's gonna like rage hard if he has to do it.
I mean,
or when he does it.
If you do Mythic Plus in retail WoW at like a plus 15 or above, Ulduar is going to be a joke.
Yep.
It's the easiest raid you've ever done. But if you haven't, and this is new to you, then you're going to struggle. Like, I just got done.
That, or if you thought Nax was like a decent difficulty of a raid, then yeah, you're definitely gonna have a hard time. Like, unless you thought Nax was a cakewalk, and not just like your 10th run in, but like on your first or second run kind of thing.
Done raiding in Classic WoW, where people stand next to each other and they get frozen by Kel'Thuzad because you're not supposed to do that. Where people stand in the red void zone and then they die. Like, it wasn't just Gus. It was like 5 people. I literally told them the buttons to press on their keyboard. I said 1, 1, 2, 3. They can't do that. Like, whenever I say this raid is going
to be fair, Asmin, I saw that video with Lost Ark, man. They told you what buttons to press, and you did not do so well.
to be hard, I don't mean it's going to be hard for a normal person. I don't even mean it's going to be hard for a gorilla. I mean it's going to be hard for like a classic WoW player. And that's a totally different thing.
Yeah.
Attempt where essentially you don't have to use consumables. These were quite the thing in Nax 40 due to vanilla needing so many consumables. It's less of an issue nowadays, but still there's no use throwing gold away. You should also know who's putting down feasts, because trust me, you're going to be getting through a lot of them, and again, there's no point wasting them when one can buff the entire raid. Also with Ulduar, there will be many more DPS check bosses than, well, anything in Classic kind of ever. And when DPS matters, pre-potting matters. It's Wrath of the Lich King. You only get 1 potion during combat now, and everyone using a potion before you enter combat to trigger the cooldown will make the difference now and again. I'm just...
Yeah, Hodir DPS check is not that bad. It's pretty easy, because like these buffs, like there's like an electricity buff you get, and like, you know, you have like multiplicative scaling. So obviously Hodir is not that bad. But like I will be surprised if a guild can clear XT Deconstructor on 25-man hard mode on week 1. I will actually be surprised, because
I don't think so. Because I think Asmin's got to remember, like, there are people who do mythic rating in retail who will go and play Ulduar. And I don't think if you can clear mythic rating, like, you're going to be able to clear Ulduar pretty much no problem. Like, yes, it is a DPS check, but it's not to a crazy degree where, like, I don't know. It's just not to that degree.
I remember that fight was so hard that they had to nerf it before anybody cleared it. Iron Council's probably not going to be that bad. Like, I really... Firefighter's going to be easy, too. Like, what's hard about Firefighter? Everything that's hard about Firefighter is just like move out of the fucking fire, don't get hit by the explosion. It's a joke. XT is not hard, it's just a DPS check. That's what I mean. I just don't know if people have the gear for it. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I see what he was... Okay. I thought he was referring to like in a different way.
Maybe they're going to clear it super fast.
And if you're progressing Hodir hard mode and a bunch of you forget to pre-pot, you will start to be called out about it. Do yourself a favor, find somewhere to keybind your potion and make a habit of popping it before a fight begins. Of course, not every fight needs a pre-pot or is a strict DPS check. Freya is an example where the start of a fight there's literally no point pre-potting to hit the boss. You're just waiting for the first ad wave. You might actually prefer to have a health potion handy in some fights instead if you struggle with certain mechanical overlaps. Also, keybind your health stone. It's on a separate cooldown from...
See how these trash cans here aren't standing over there? So the way you have to do it is that this like little machine, it will shoot in certain directions. That's why you don't want to have the raid grouped up. And you want to have people all around the room so it minimizes the amount of people that get hit by the machine gun. And,
yeah, I don't remember these fights,
it's
honestly.
Just common sense to do.
I barely remember Ulduar, like, at all. Like, some fights, like, I can kind of remember. But, like, it's been too long.
Do that, but people don't fucking know.
potions, it's gonna save you now and again on sketchy fights
And this
such
is
as
a Cthulhu
Mimiron. If you
beam
die
right
without
here.
popping your healthstone, not a good look. Next, I want to talk about upgrades, the best new bit of raids for many players, and Ulduar is full of them. But before you
252.
get into the raid, don't forget that you will want to
Look at those numbers. Defense 78, dodge 55, parry 70 fucking 2. This is insane. I'm gonna
doing
take
your
that.
daily heroic dungeon again.
If
With
it
the
drops,
new patch is
I
a
need
new
them.
emblem of conquest,
3
which will
sockets.
begin dropping, and similar to emblems of valor, these can be turned in for tier pieces or 25-man normal quality items. The heroic daily is going to give you 2 of these emblems.
That's crazy.
There's also the new dungeon difficulty, Titan Rune Dungeons. The daily heroic on
Titan Forge
Titan Rune
dungeons.
difficulty will also drop a bag at the end, which will contain a further 3 emblems of conquest, or it should do if they haven't changed it from how it worked on the beta at least. I'd consider running this with guildies, to be honest, because everyone wants to do the daily now, and with the guild you can at least rotate who gets the bag or give it to the person who's going to benefit the most from getting upgrades earlier.
Me.
And when you are in Ulduar and you get an upgrade,
That does
there's
make
no
sense.
reason not to have the ability to equip it right away. You can pre-prepare enchanting vellum, or just carry the materials to get items enchanted by a guildie, carry whichever gems, meta
gonna
gems
master
and
loot
so
it.
on your class uses, as well as the various shoulder and head enchants, and engineering tinker materials. The upgrades are a big deal, just make sure you can make the most of them straight away. Finally, for upgrades, the dreaded BIS list. So a lot of guilds these days run a loot council who will decide the fate of those purple items your raid gets.
Which
That's
makes
how
And
we do our raid, is we do loot council.
believe me, when you see a loot
It's
in
me and
Ulduar,
McConnell. We figured
even
it out.
on 10-man normal
Yeah, I
mode,
was gonna say it's not really a council. Like,
kind of just everything is an upgrade.
Yeah.
If you go for a Basilisk, which is your literal best in slot, it's going to contain
Yeah.
nearly entirely loot from hard modes and Algalon. Now, honestly, do you think your guild will be clearing that content anytime soon?
Yeah,
I'll be
yeah, you
getting
just
onto
kill it.
bosses and recommendations in a moment, mind you, but for many players, it might take a long time to fully clear, which is
Probably like a
fine.
month and a
But
half,
if you have your
I would
eyes
say,
set
for
on
the
the
average
Gig
guild.
Abyss item and it's from Algalon 25, you might just be waiting a very long
Man, I love watching people do this fight because nobody knows how the fuck to play. This shit is so funny to watch.
just seeing like half the group
It's
or
one of
raid
my
get
favorite
deleted.
things to do.
time for that. I mean, it might be months if they don't nerf anything. What I'm saying here is have a good idea
Yeah.
what your options are, not just your mega bis item, which by the way about half a dozen other people will also want because that's how loot
That's
is in
why we have
classic.
Master
Know
Loot.
your top 3 or so items. When something drops and you can say I will wear this until X drops, that's gonna look better than Jimmy, who's just been rolling main spec upgrade on absolutely everything.
Who
If you like
rolls?
getting purples and items, it's
Fuck,
kind
it's
of
a
in your
roll.
interest to learn the loot. I know this is all pretty keen, but it
Yeah.
works. Also, expect your raid, if they're doing a loot council focused on progression and hard modes, to just by default favor certain specializations and classes. It's going to be a rich
Yeah.
get richer environment where the top performers see the best loot earliest. This is what happens when progression is part of the content. Speaking of progression, we have the progression within the instance. So without a doubt, and I really can't overemphasize this, one of the most important things about progression raiding is good wipe recovery practices and raid pacing. Know when your raid
That's true. Very, very true. The fact is that, the same shit that I complained about in retail, how, like, you have to run back and, it's like you got to rebuff, everything like
Like 10
that.
times worse.
It's even worse in Classic.
Yeah.
And, like, it's Classic WoW. So, like, I mean, you can't really change that because it's not Classic, right? And so, making sure you have soul stones and like you don't have half the group that releases, half the group that runs back, somebody goes AFK, after they get back from AFK somebody else goes AFK, like that just kills a raid.
raids breaks are going to be in advance, so people aren't trying to AFK after a wipe because they need
Yeah,
to do
get
something.
repair bots.
If people know when you're going to take a break, they'll wait to the break, unless they can't.
No, they
if
won't.
you wipe, get back in as soon as possible and be ready to go again. If you're the guy who's sitting on the floor after every wipe and you're not even AFKing, you just don't want to run back, you're
That's
not
McConnell. McConnell does that every time. He's gonna do this in Ulduar too. He doesn't give a fuck. He will literally fucking sit there and die and not run back while our Algalon will tick down. Guarantee it. Guarantee we're gonna have Algalon ticking down. He's gonna be sitting there dead.
going to be very popular, and above all, recognize when you are going to wipe. At some point you're going to know the mechanics of a boss. It's just a question of getting in a good pull. Certain fights know the mechanics of a boss. It's just a
that buff went
question
on him.
of getting it.
That cleanse needed to go off faster. Fusion Punch puts a debuff on the tank, and it needs to be insta cleansed because the dot ticks instantaneously. So the healer's fucked up there.
Sounds like the Veilver's
fun
fucked
fact
up.
there. Also, every time that somebody dies in this last phase, Steelbreaker heals.
That sounds like you need a mod for that.
In a good pull. Certain fights have failure points. Does your tank die on the transition to the final phase of Iron Council hard mode? That's a wipe. There's no point continuing. Storm Clouds somehow end up on a bunch of healers on Hodir hard mode. If it's your first kill, that's probably a wipe. And when a wipe is called, it's like a real life boss mechanic. Get it done fast, get back in the raid, go again, do better. Also have a Soulstone rotation on people for fights too. It helps a lot. You'll want to build these practices because when you
whenever they did this in Ulduar, like back in the day, like I couldn't believe whenever they made this raid. Like for its time, it was probably like one of the most advanced raids Blizzard's ever made.
Yeah, it was incredibly innovative. Innovative? Whatever the word is. Like a lot of new things. Also the spectacle of it was just like nothing before seen.
It was out of this world. Like, I would say in terms of raid quality, this was probably the biggest step up in raid quality that we ever had. And I think a close second, which is actually, in my opinion, also the close second best raid of all time. Ulduar is my favorite. Second favorite is Throne of Thunder. Throne of Thunder was absolutely fucking phenomenal. And it reminded me a lot of Ulduar, of like just how fucking well designed and expansive and incredible it was.
Eventually get to Algalon, you're only going to have 1 hour per week.
Like I quit Mists of Pandaria like kind of early on, but I came back for when I saw videos on Throne of Thunder. I was like, I gotta do that.
On the boss, you have to make that hour count. Saying all that, remember that despite this constant talk of hard mode and how difficult everything will be, that's up to you and your guild. Sure, it gives the better loot because it's harder, it has the achievements and so on, but 10 and 25 man normal mode exist for a reason. In fact, back in the day, Blizzard quite specifically designed raiding tiers in terms of difficulty, from the easiest being 10 man normal, then 10 man hard mode, then 25 man, and finally the hardest being 25 man hard mode. And
I always felt like it went like this. I felt like it was 10 man normal, 25 man normal, 10 man hard mode, 25 man hard mode. I always felt like the 10 man hard modes were harder than 25 man.
Yeah, I would agree.
Personally.
10 man normal Ulduar drops gear better than anything.
It was also the case when you were like trying to do pugs. Like it would be much easier to get pugs for the normal modes than even like 25 man normal than the 10 man hard.
Available in tier 7, at least from an item level point of view. So definitely don't neglect at least attempting to clear all the available content on.
I think, however, keep in mind 10 man Ulduar only drops 219 gear. So like for example, like Kel'Thuzad drops 226. And, you know, Malagos Neck is 226. Sartharian, 3 Drake, 25 man is 226. Or 2 Drake, 25 man is also 226. Oh, wow. Wait. So you're telling me like Ulduar baseline 10 man normal mode gear is 225?
It's not bad if that's true.
I thought it was only the hard mode stuff. Holy shit. Wow.
Week 1. It's kind of a pain to do, but splitting your raid into 2 10-man groups is extremely beneficial long term.
Yeah.
And you borderline kind of want to be doing this before combining forces into 25-man to take on the real challenge. There's the obvious upside of more players getting gear upgrades, but it will also mean your raid is getting to terms with boss mechanics faster. A smaller group places more responsibility on the individual, and people are more likely to be hit by boss mechanics. Basically, if you haven't seen Ulduar in forever, 10-mans are a pretty good place to learn. And of course, just to confirm in case you were wondering at all, you can still do 10 and 25-man in the same lockout, but you can only kill each boss once regardless of the difficulty. So if you did XT 10-man normal, you can't do XT 10-man hard mode in the same lockout, but you can still attempt XT.
I mean, that's only relevant for TOC. Like, it would be theoretically impossible to do that.
25-man on either normal or hard mode, as it's on a separate lockout. Once you have seen 10-man and want to
see like what he did. See,
that's usually the
either
case.
normal or hard mode, as it's on a separate lockout. Once you have seen 10-man and want to move on and up to 25, I would prioritize certain bosses over others. In terms of hard modes to attempt week 1, I would put them in several different tiers. The easier hard modes include Flame Leviathan, Thorim, and Freya. Honestly,
I thought Hodir would be. Or maybe I'm thinking different.
a lot of guild.
I would say that Hodir is easier than Freya.
Oh,
personally, I think Hodir is easier because Freya is extremely mechanically intensive. So, like, for example, the Lashers, you have to they blow up whenever you kill them, and that makes it pretty hard to deal with. There's like these fucking mushrooms you have to stand under in order to in order to do damage. And then also she heals the whole time. The fight's really long. Let's see, you have to deal with all the different keepers, obviously, during the fight. Let's see. That's because I'm a tank. Freya's a bitch from what I remember. I remember, like, I remember Hodir was fucking easy. And I played DPS. Like, you just get all the buffs and kill the fucking boss.
I think Hodir was like the first hard mode boss my guild cleared. I can't really remember, but I have like vague memories of him being the first.
Yeah, Hodir was the hardest NA2-1 from PTR, 2-minute kill timer instead of 3 minutes. Oh, maybe I didn't do it with 2 minutes. You know what? That's probably what it was. Yeah, if it's a 2-minute, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you guys are right. Because I remember, like, we did Hodir hard mode pretty early, but I don't think I was in for any of that shit because I couldn't see the clouds on Yogg, and so they kicked me out of the raid. So, I think I just did Flame Leviathan hard mode. That was it.
It's week 1. Despite it being one of the easier hard modes, I wouldn't spend time on Flame Leviathan hard mode. Chain wiping and learning the first boss just doesn't make sense to me unless you have many raid dates planned. I think you want to get some good momentum.
Nobody in my raid and nobody that watches my stream has a job. So we are going to be doing Flame Leviathan hard mode on week 1. There is no reason not to. And I swear to fucking God, if I see somebody like in this video that only has 2 stacks of pyrite, whenever they should be having kicked. 7, we'd be having a conversation.
To moving into the raid by taking on some of the easier fights or fights without hard modes and guaranteeing yourself some nice upgrades. Thorim and Freya are both good progression points week 1, since by the time you can access either of them, you can also access every boss in the instance bar 3, meaning you can go elsewhere if you want to break from these bosses. Both are required for Algalon later on whenever you get to that. On top of that, these fights are a mix of mechanical and DPS checks rather than just the latter. The harder week 1 hard modes are Iron Council, Hodir, and Mimiron. Iron Council simply has a very high DPS check. It's doable in tier 7 gear and will be greatly helped.
Like, I paused it there because I was thinking, but with Mimiron, like, I remember with him, like, it was more of a, it's finally over than it's, you know, I'm happy we downed him. I think I just said that, but anyways, yeah.
Helped if you've run 10-man Ulduar, but it's still quite challenging to pull off. Hodir is
every time that somebody dies with the fusion punch, I think that's the ability that fucking what's his name, Steelbreaker, or fucking I think that's Steelbreaker casts. Every time somebody dies, like this dude, as soon as they die, they do a massive AoE explosion and they kill everybody around them, and also they heal the boss 20% health. So like the boss has
I forgot
10
about the
million,
healing.
But what you really have to do is you have to do about 12 or probably 14 million realistically. And on top of that, the tank does a lot more damage, so it makes it slightly easier. But what you used to have to do is you used to have to kill Brundir first, and then the medium-sized guy would drop a rune of power, and then you would have everybody stand in the rune of power whenever he was about to die, kill him, pop hero, and DPS down the boss. Like that's what you used to do.
That makes sense.
But like then you would have him in the buff, and then he one shot the tank, and yeah, like I did all this shit back in the day.
Be greatly helped if you've run 10-man Ulduar, but it's still quite challenging to pull off. Odia is similar, a pure DPS check boss, needs to be defeated within 2 minutes, though there are quite a few mechanics that go into boosting the raid's DPS to making this possible. Finally, Mimiron. True to his nature, he's a highly mechanical fight that punishes mistakes really hard. You need a good amount of pulls and for everyone to be on the same page for this boss to be going down.
So
the avoid hard modes for week 1 are XT, it's just not worth the effort. Basically, we're talking about 25-man here, of course. He was the only boss to actively get nerfed during the PTR, and he's still really difficult.
I'm surprised
he literally gatekeeps Ulduar and the rest of the bosses, and you don't need him for Algalon. Just come back to this one later. The second avoid I'd say is Vezax. It's kind of a bit more optional, this one. Similar kind of story to XT.
Really? I thought Vezax hard mode was one of the earliest ones people did.
It's not like he got nerfed during the PTR or anything, it's just very challenging numbers wise and may not be the best time investment for most guilds out there week 1. The bosses with a bit more options and flexibility are Yogg-Saron. Since you can choose how many keepers you're going to bring, you can scale the fight to what you would like to do. Remember that bringing 1 keeper, which is much easier than 0, still drops the best loot. 0 lights or 0 keepers is only for the achievement and the mount. I think Yogg 1 will be a good progression point for guilds week 1. And finally, not to forget Algalon, though to even get there you need to have defeated Iron Council and all the keepers on hard mode, so if you can do it you might as well go and give it a try for 1 hour. All in all, for progression, don't overlook 10.
Algalon's not that hard. It's really not. The only reason why people die on Algalon is because they're fucking stupid. So if you wipe on Algalon, it's your fault every single time. Sometimes you can have like a weird situation with parry hasting the boss, and it's difficult, etc. But it's really not.
9 times out of 10, it is your fault. Like someone messed up.
It's very, very, very scripted.
Man raiding. Know your raid's time investment. Don't get yourself hard stuck on a hard mode. It's better to have seen every boss than to have spent half a raid night on something that you just don't have the DPS to do. Remember, every bit of loot will get you closer to those hard mode bosses eventually. And at the end of the day, raiding is a team effort. Sure, it's all in a game and everything, but being on the same page as your group and getting down hard mode bosses for the first time will feel all the better if you go in with good practices across your raiding group. And that's all from me today. Best of luck in Ulduar.
I would agree.
May the RNG be kind and the loot plentiful. As always, thank you all so much for watching and listening in, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Very soon.
Very soon.
I'm excited for Ulduar. We had a bug where a tank tried taunting the orbs in the air and the boss just resetted. You talking about the constellations? Because there's no orbs. Because so basically what you have to do with Algalon, right, is that this is a great video, by the way. Like, this is a reality check. Yeah, let's go. I'm gonna link you guys this video. WillE, we watch all his videos about Classic. We love Classic. We love WillE. Make sure to give him a sub, give him a like, and support him because he's actually making content about this fucking game nobody else is. Thank God for that. I'm not mentally prepared for Ronin, spam, and Dalaran. You don't need to be for about 6 more months, man. Trust me. What, constellation? Yeah, it's the console. The thing is, like, constellations, like, so, oh my god. Well, what you would have, so, like, with Algalon, right, is you would have 2 tanks, and, like, the first tank deals with Algalon. Then the second tank, after they taunt for 3 or 4 slashes, depending on like if it's the more or less geared tank, then the other tank taunts the constellations into the black holes to remove them. And because you only really need 1 black hole, everybody can go in the same hole. All 24 people can fit in 1 hole. And like the thing is, like, I know Ulduar, like, basically everything after, I didn't do Sunwell. I did half of Sunwell. That's not true. I did half of Sunwell pre-nerf. Then I quit. My whole guild quit.
Damn.
And then
broke,
like everything after like BC, I know every fucking mechanic, man. Like I know everything about this fucking raid. So it's not going to be a problem. I'm excited. I'm really fucking excited. When I start per caption to the game, I'll look at that. Shouldn't have been based on black hole. Yeah, sure, dude. You're gonna fucking find out, man. You're gonna fucking find out. You're gonna watch. Maybe I should do that. Like, I should do like a stream, like a watch party. I would be so cool if I could get all the other guilds to be okay with me doing this, but I don't know if they would be, because like with the race world first, like like they have it, like it's like much more of a thing. But like if I could restream everybody's stream and like fucking watch the race to clear Ulduar, that would be really fun. I'm gonna be honest, that would be so fucking fun for me to do that.
Yeah, especially with Asmin, like, who knows the mechanics like completely. Like, I've honestly forgotten most of them. Some, I'll be honest, I don't think I remember almost any, if at all.
Because
it's like,
all I want to do, I want to watch like the fucking best players in the world stand in the raid with gravity bomb on the deconstructor, XC deconstructor. Like, I want to see them fucking drop that black hole in the middle of the fucking raid. Boss turns around. Oh no! And then everybody's fucking dead. Yeah, sponsor them restream. I think that'd be funny. Doesn't Say Safe do it? Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, it'd be hilarious. Can't wait to not understand anything happening in the game, bro. Like, this raid is so easy. Like, it is really not. Let me. You know what happens in this raid? Like, let me tell you. You have to go in this whenever he does this thing around him.
Yep.
And then there's red swirlies on the ground you can't stand in. And the closer you are to them, the more damage they do. That's it. That's the whole fight.
Yeah. I don't know why it was like a lot of people had trouble with this. From what I remember, like, there were some people who just had trouble even finding it. Because it was like, with this kind of background, with this, like, it wasn't like just super obvious, I guess.
There's no fucking, like, there's not some brilliant like mastermind that's behind this. Like, no, it's easy. You just don't stand in these 2 things, and you have to alternate the black holes with the cosmic smashes, which are the red swirly boys. You alternate those 2 things together, and then you can kill the boss. Yeah, too hard for classic players. Oh, it's gonna be brutal, man.
Should be fun though.
It's bad. Remember, it's classic players. It's not. I remember the day that Ulduar came out, I went into the raid blind, and I raided Ulduar day 1, 14 hours. And we went through the whole raid. It was probably one of the best days of my life. I will never forget. I went in there with like some of my other friends in my guild and everything. 14 hours. It was so fun because we didn't know anything. Like, we took like a lunch break, a dinner break, and like we got up to Yogg, and that's whenever they found out I couldn't see the clouds. They were like, why do you keep hitting these, Asmin? I'm like, what do you mean? Hitting what? Like, shut up, bitch. Like, I'm doing DPS. And they're like, oh my god. And then so I got kicked out of the raid. Killing it for a title and achievement.
Were you trying to parse, or you just couldn't actually see them?
That's why. It's an easy fight. Very easy. Gaming isn't fun anymore. Uh-oh. Let me link y'all this video again, real quick. Bet more than 50% of guilds won't kill Algalon. Yeah, I honestly I wish they would take away this hour. Like if they took the hour timer away from Algalon in like after a month, I would be really happy about it. Like I hated this hour timer.
Yeah,
Like I actually
it's
I thought it was like
kind
such
of
a
dumb.
shit mechanic.
Yep, I agree.
Getting Herald of the Titans back in the day was fun. I got it. I remember I got Herald of the Titans, and then like a week later I got Heroic Lich King, and I didn't know what title to use. It was like it was a really upsetting moment in my life because I'm like I have two titles. Like I need to flex on people, but like I can only wear one title at a time. So like, oh fuck, what do I do, right? Because I didn't have Invincible. Because like if I had Invincible, I could ride Invincible and then wear Herald of the Titans, right? Because then they would know I'm twice as good as them. But I didn't have Invincible at that time, so I could have to decide. And like then I was like, okay, we're gonna do Bane of the Fallen King. That was because we did it on 10 man, we didn't do it on 25. We fucking couldn't get a whole guild together to do it. But anyway, we did the Heroic Lich King, and then whenever Cataclysm come out, then I changed it over to Herald of the Titans.
Hmm.
Yeah, like that's all I would think about, man.
I don't remember what achievements I got in Ulduar. I'll be honest. Like I didn't really, I just didn't really care too much about achievements. To me, it was like it dropping a cool mount would have been the reason why I did any like the hard, really hard stuff. So, but yeah, why Ulduar won't be easy. I mean, he didn't really cover too much on why it won't be, other than yes, it's a harder raid. So, but a good video.